Hi, scholars. This is Mr. Shaw here, and this week we're going to be talking about one thing that art can be used for. And one of the things that art is often used for is to help change things in the world that could be better, that could make our lives a little nicer and a little easier. So, one way that I'd like to teach you about this idea is by having you listen to a book called Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type. And while you're listening to this book, what I want you to think about is I want you to think about the thing that cows think is unfair. They have to work really, really hard, but the farmer isn't providing them something that they need. And then I want you to look at what the cows do about it. Do they just stay in their barn unhappy, or do they speak up and try to change the way that their lives work and to make their lives better? So after we read this book together and listen to this story, I'm going to show you some ways that you can make the world a little bit better by using your talents and by using your art.
Click Clack Moo, Cows That Type by Doreen Cronin, with pictures by Betsy Lewin. Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears click clack, moo, click clack, moo, clickety clack, moo. Then he couldn't believe his eyes. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. It was bad enough that the cows had found the old typewriter in the barn. Now they wanted electric blankets? No way, said Farmer Brown. No electric blankets. So the cows went on strike. They left a note at the barn door. Sorry, we're closed. No milk today. No milk today? Cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click-clack, moo, click-clack, moo, clickety-clack, moo. The next day, he got another note. Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. Closed. No milk, no eggs. No eggs, cried Farmer Brown. In the background he heard them. Click-clack, moo, click-clack, moo, clickety-clack, moo. Cows that type, hens on strike. Who ever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs? Farmer Brown was furious. Farmer Brown got out his own typewriter. Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Sincerely, Farmer Brown. Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door early the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door, and we will send Duck over with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows. Farmer Brown decided this was a good deal. He left the blankets next to the barn door and waited for Duck to come with the typewriter. The next morning he got a note. Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks. Click-clack, quack, click-clack, quack, clicky-clack, quack. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check out more books on Nom Nom Read Read.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I did. And I found it really interesting that the cows were brave enough to speak up to the farmer and they were strong enough to say, hey, we're not going to give you milk unless we get what we need to have a fair and equal life. Well, you as kids can make a big difference in your world as well. There are a lot of kids out there in the world that see things that could be better, and they do a lot to help change that. Maybe, like this little boy up here, maybe you'd like to write a letter to the mayor of your city, or the governor of your state, or maybe the president of the United States, and tell them what you're thinking and what kind of things you'd like to see changed. You could also collect items for people who don't have them, or raise money for a cause that you think is important. Some kids like to go outside into the world and plant trees, or fix up their neighborhood, or clean things up. And that's one way to make your world a better place. And one of my favorite ways to help change the world or to make the world a better place is with art. And this is a beautiful painting that I found a picture of in New York City, showing two figures embracing each other to show that no matter what color you are, we could all be equal and we can all show love to each other. So these are all different ways that you, even as a kid, can help change the world a little bit and for you to speak your mind about things that maybe you think are unfair. So what we're going to do today and this week is you're going to draw a picture of something you would do to make the world a little bit better. So first I want you to think about what is something that you would like to make better in the world? What's something that you think could be changed to make life easier and better for everyone? And then what is it that you can do to make that change? Because even a little thing can make a very, very big difference. So stay tuned and I'll show you how you can draw that picture in Seesaw and then send it to me so that I can see your ideas about how you'd like to use your art and your skills and your talents to help make the world a better place. So here I am in Seesaw, and when I think about what it is that I can do to help change the world, one thing that my family and I are actually doing this weekend is going to a Black Lives Matter protest. Now, making your voice heard is one way that you can help to change the world. So we're actually going out with a lot of other people, and we're making signs, and we're calling out the injustice that we see in the world. Now, because I'm an artist and that's one thing that I'm really, really good at, I'm actually spending a lot of time this week making signs. And I'm making a lot of extra signs because when people come to these rallies and these protests sometimes, they might not have the materials at home that I do to make really easy to read signs that have the same message of Black Lives Matter. So I'm actually spending some time this week to make some signs to bring to one of these rallies, to one of these protests. So not only am I going out there into the world, but I'm also using something that I'm skilled at, one of my talents, to help other people have their voices heard. So when you're thinking about what it is you can do to help change the world, think about things that you're good at. If you're good at writing letters, maybe writing a letter would be a good way to go. If you're good at singing, maybe you could write a song about something you'd like to change in the world. Maybe you could make small changes in your neighborhood by making sure the sidewalk in front of your house is clean, or planting flowers or trees or plants to make your neighborhood look good, or to provide fresh air for the planet Earth. But while you're making your pictures, I do want you to remember all of those things that makes a good piece of artwork a good piece of artwork. You want to make sure you're coloring all your negative space. You also want to make sure that you are in your picture and make sure you finish the whole thing completely. When you're done, make sure you click that green check in the top right-hand corner so that I can see your pictures.